Thanks for joining us for the summer 2025 edition of Normal About Dragongate. I finally aligned my recording schedule with my co-host Eden, and if you weren't here for the first round, what we do here is assess the full Dragongate roster and its units, and then circle back to it periodically to see how everyone has progressed since the last round. We first did this in January after the Gate of Bayside, and there have been a lot of changes since then. Next round depends on when more things happen in the company, and when it feels like time to make another update, but there may also be other special episodes in the meantime like we did for the Vegas one. I have a couple ideas for those. So let's get right into it. We are back with more Normal About Dragongate.
Did you miss us?
I did. I did call this the summer edition, and it is still summer until the end of September, so don't at me.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to kind of do the same thing as we did last time. You know, there's some people we're going to talk about less just because they haven't done that much since.
Yeah.
But I was thinking the better format now, since we've talked about everyone individually, would be to address the unit first and then go into the members of it.
Sure.
Right off the bat, I was thinking about the name of our podcast because, you know, Normal About Dragongate is like a bit ironic, a bit self-deprecating.
Yeah, and my fault as well.
Just the way that I think about podcasting and wrestling journalism in general is, why are we the weird ones for being enthusiastic?
Oh, don't get me started, honestly. Literally, just before we hopped on call, I was in Discord watching... We just watched some random stuff, but it came off the back of watching CZW Tournament of Death, which happened, I think, yesterday. Won't go into it too far. But, like, not my thing. But it was fun to watch with friends. And I think sometimes we lose the perspective because the things we watch are often so good, we get really down on them when they're not as good as we know they can be. And sometimes you just have to watch something that's completely outside of your wheelhouse, that you have no real opinion on, and that is occasionally quite bad.
Well, that's like me working the Circle 6 show last week.
Yeah, it puts it back into perspective. Yeah. Not to make too much of a qualitative judgment on things that people genuinely
sure, there's
enthusiastically
there's
enjoy.
A place for it.
Exactly. But like, bad art deserves to be made. Whether it deserves to be seen, that's a different kettle of fish. But
well, I mean, otherwise Neil Breen wouldn't have a career.
And like an artiste, a visionary of our time.
Truly.
How we're 3 minutes in and we've already brought up Neil Breen of all people on this Dragongate podcast.
Okay, let's. Well, I mean, we've brought up more obscure things on this podcast.
No, but
before.
like, this is starting early.
I mean, why not? We are very normal, after all. So, just to give people in the future a time frame here, we did mean to do this after Kobe World, and it is still after Kobe World,
counts.
Literally. But I did want to wait until some things happened, like Gajadokuro forming and getting a name, because I didn't want to just do a podcast calling it, like, Kikuta's Heel Unit. By the way, I didn't give you a formal introduction off the top, but I think people probably know by now. But
I'm a production.
Hello, Eden.
Hi, Mark. Everyone knows who I am now. I'm so famous.
So this is right after the Koraken, where they got their name, and also the week that my channel got monetized. So thank you to everybody who signed up for a membership. I'll do a special thanks at the end of this episode.
Does this mean I get a cut?
I feel like such an official podcaster now.
Oh,
they're giving me like pennies on the dollar from YouTube here.
And I'm sorry.
When I get rich, then yeah, sure.
I'm holding you to that.
This will be like me treating you to a coffee someday, because that's about how much I'm going to make off of this.
It's something, and you know I love my coffee.
I do know that. Just for a little touchstone for the times, let's go over the champions really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Open the Dreamgate champion is Madoka Kikuta, defeated Shun Skywalker in a V0 defense. I kind of expected that. The new heel unit has to be dominant. Shun is okay with or without the belt. He, like, even when he has it, he says he's above it. We'll get into that in a bit.
Oh, will we?
I think he's a good, strong champion for leader of a new heel unit. He's had this story arc between D-Courage and Yuki, and I think there'll probably be more between him and Yuki Yoshioka later in the year.
I remember I said in various different places, but the last time we spoke that it looked like Kikuta would be like his character would be deepening. There'd be more layers to it. I didn't call exactly what would be happening, but oh boy, was I right.
Yeah, good call on that. Open the Bravegate champion is Ryoya Tanaka.
My
And,
princess.
God, what a talent. For the little amount of time that he has been
It's
wrestling, still, it just blows my mind.
wild to think about it every so often. Because, as well, he's been wrestling only slightly longer than I've been watching Dragon Gate. So to me, he's kind of always been there. So I tend to forget that we're basically contemporaries in terms of like existing within the Dragon Gate canon. So it is really easy to forget how new he
Yeah.
is still to everything.
And we'll get more in depth into all these champions later individually, but I just wanted to do it like an overview. Open the Triangle Gate champions right now are Kai, Ishin, and Yoshiki Kato. I love this trio. They're like, I remember when Zebrats were together, I was kind of calling them like the bully contingent of Zebrats, where like the other half of the group could kind of be edgelord theater kids if they ever split up. It would be like those four and maybe Valletta, because Kai wrangled him.
Well, it's like Amy, who always points out that Kato and Ishin are basically Bulk and Skull from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yes.
It's just so correct.
The last time I heard that reference used in a wrestling term was Ryback
Oh, God.
Yeah. Which, you know, they were actually really fun because they were just like lovable dumbass heels. I do really like the dynamic they have going on. Apparently, Ishin and Kato have known each other for a very long time.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, it kind of tracks.
I don't know how they would have met, though, because I think Ishin said something about them knowing each other for 10 years, and Kato would have been like just out of school and training to become a cop at the time.
Maybe it's best that we don't ask them.
Follow his father's career. My first instinct was maybe Ishin and Ricky got into some trouble, and it's like their sons met.
Oh, God.
We've got Open the Twin Gate Champions, Original D-Courage. I love that they're back on this team because they had to vacate the titles because of Yuki's eye injury. And it's nice to see them back. Like, I think it's kind of a pit stop on the way to Yuki going back into Dreamgate contention.
Yeah,
but, and then after that, I would, if D-Courage, endures, I would love to see Daya and Tanaka team, because every time they team, it is wild.
It's actually ridiculous how like smooth as silk they are.
Yeah. The rarely seen Gate Kuishinbo mask. I don't know if it's just that they have trouble booking him or that they just don't care about the belt.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, I will say that because as I pointed out on the last time we talked, that it is the only shoot belt I can think of in wrestling. If it was still on somebody who was a regular roster member, then I suspect that they probably would use it more.
Yeah.
But having it on an outsider just means, you're not going to see it that much. But I do remember that Lingerie Muto was very difficult to book, so that's why we didn't see him for a long time.
I just explaining Lingerie Muto to literally anyone, even people that watch a lot of wrestling, is still some of the funniest conversations I've ever had. It's like, no, I promise, it's good. Just ignore that guy.
I actually didn't even know that he was Ipanjin Sawa. He's been on Buyuden as that character. Just normal guy.
Normal guy.
Is his gimmick.
I can't think of the example right now, and honestly, if I could, it would probably be exposing the business. But there is someone that I had a conversation with someone, and they were like, "Oh, that's the same person," and I was like, "Yeah, for like 10 years, you've been here that long. What are you doing?"
Well, yeah, that's so those are the current champions as of this podcast. I think we can get into the roster now.
Let's go.
Bottom row, none of those have shown up recently except for Shachoko Machine, because he was in Nagoya for the Last Dead or Alive before Dolphins Arena gets torn down. He has also shown up on, I believe, a Kobe show. I don't know what the lore behind that is.
But vibes, why not?
Yeah, I think we can mostly gloss over that whole bottom row. I also wanted to get into talking about the Young Boys before we get into the rest of them. I'm going to send you a picture in Discord, and I want to know if I'm crazy or if there's something to
Oh,
this. For this new kid that just showed up,
mm.
not so much in the face, but in like the bone structure, the jawline and the cheekbones, and I'm seeing a bit of Peter Murphy.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
That he does remind me of an actor that I just cannot
He's
place.
got those sharp features though, you know. It's
Yeah.
like he has a very striking look.
There's the particular set and shape of his eyes. Like
Mm.
I can see why they would have cast him essentially. Obviously, no idea about anything else about him, but in terms of like a visual, he's got a visual.
No, I spotted him a couple months ago at
Hmm.
a show in the background. He wasn't working ringside yet, but he was. I think he was taking tickets. Ho Ho had no information about him because I did reach out and ask. He doesn't know names until
And yeah.
they're around a little more. The only information I got from him before it was announced was Kimura's name,
Mm.
and then Sujiguchi is next to debut because he got his road to debut match against Yamato in his hometown.
Mm.
I guess not really a future exhibition, and I can see why they didn't do that because it's it's hometown. They don't just want to give him 5 minutes. They want to like give him something impressive, even if Yamato beats the hell out of
Yeah,
him.
you start connecting with your hometown audience because they do make a big thing
Right.
of hometown appearances in Dragon Gate.
Right. Yeah, the homecoming shows. Yeah.
Mm.
I have no idea when he's set to debut, but it is cool that they gave him. That is the first time they've ever done a road to debut appearance, which I think is pretty cool.
It's exciting, especially because Tsuruguchi has been involved in an angle, even if he's not
Right?
debuted
Yeah, he
yet.
was the Masked Z.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was Shun's stooge.
When Shun was quote force projecting.
I wouldn't put it in quotes anymore. I wouldn't put anything past Shun. But yeah, so like he's someone that we've been aware of for a while.
Yeah.
So to finally get the opportunity.
I like what I've seen from him in future matches, but it's small doses,
Yeah.
so it's hard to get a real handle on him. Same with Koki Oshima, who has been around for quite a bit longer. He was
Mm.
actually in Ryoya's class, had to drop out, I believe, because of an injury, and then reapply. So he's been in the system for a while. When I spoke to Ho Ho about him, he said that the main thing he needed to work on was his facial expressions while he's in the ring because
Mm.
he's very stone faced. The last time I saw him in an exhibition, he did seem to have taken care of that. He seems to have put more effort into that. So I would like to see where he ends up. The other thing with him, I haven't heard them do this recently, but wrestler commentary has this sort of they're very precious about him,
Hmm.
but it's a running joke. Anytime
Yeah.
he's in trouble, they'll like scream his name. They'll be like Oshima, Oshima, and
Yeah, I that's
yeah,
one thing that I had noticed, and I don't know if everyone's sort of memeing on you that much, that it means they like you.
yeah. And I think being around for so long and not getting cut or not giving up, I
Exactly.
think that's probably gonna speak volumes for him.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we've got Ryota Sugihara. I think he's got a really interesting style. I believe he has an MMA background, and that kind of
Oh.
explains the rash guard, the compression shirt he wears.
Hmm.
He has some interesting takedowns. He does like a lot of like double leg takedowns and things like that. So you can tell he kind of tries to ground his opponent.
Mm.
So I think we may have a grappler.
That'll be fun to sort of
Yeah,
throw into the mix with a rookie.
I'm always up for if you listen to us talk about it, we both love a kick
We
boy.
love a kick boy.
But, real graps, yeah, I'm always down for that.
Real graps.
I first actually want to get into the newest debut, Kazuma Kimura.
Yes.
I love him so far.
Yeah.
He's great.
Everyone's very excited about him for good reason. But, obviously he's still a rookie, he's still rough around the edges, par for the course. But there's something about him. He's just got an energy to him that is incredibly compelling, like the second he steps through the curtain, that he didn't even have during the exhibition matches. Like he seems to have flipped a
Right, yeah.
switch now that he's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
on now. I'm debuting proper.
This company is so good at making somebody go from like looking like a total goober to looking really cool.
Yeah, you just hold
So,
something back for just long enough.
yeah.
And that's why everyone's such a surprise.
I do wonder how much they have these characters in mind before they debut.
Mm. sat backstage going, what's my motivation?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of styles, his judo and sambo
Yeah.
background is really cool and really unique. A couple of his matches so far, he's been showing kind of a toughness where he'll endure somebody's submission hold for a while, and then they'll sink it in deeper, and then he taps. And I have spoken to you about this before, and I want to make the distinction here. Kazuma Kimura is my precious baby boy, who I want nothing bad to ever happen to. Akihiro Sahara is my large adult son, and there is a difference.
There is a difference.
And if anyone's looking for any sort of actual distinction, it's just vibes.
It's just vibes. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry.
Kind of like baby girling somebody.
Baby girl. I'm so sorry to Tanaka because he unfortunately is my princess, and like that's a thing to call someone, I guess, especially someone that you don't know and you've never met, but unfortunately it's a bit now and I'm running with it.
We are talking about the characters presented to us, though. To be fair.
Listen, you can't have hair like that and dress in pastels and also bedazzle your jeans and not be a princess.
No, it's accurate. I really like that Paradoxes seem to take an interest in him. Yamato wants to recruit him, but Shun has now taken him away.
It's so, it's so Shun, and obviously we'll talk about that because you know us, we can never go too long without talking at length about Shun Skywalker. But I don't know, it is that thing, it's that Kimura clearly just has something about him, and it's like you say, that coolness, there's just a cool aspect to him that it is in the way he carries himself, his physical movement, but also like his facial movement as well. Because the one thing that obviously came up when they announced that he was debuting is that he does have quite a high-pitched voice.
Well, that's why he's my precious baby boy. Yeah. Because as soon as he spoke, you heard the audience were kind of like, "Aw."
But the thing is that when he's been speaking in the ring, like recently, obviously after a match, everyone's, your voice is sounding different because you're exhausted. But the sort of high tenor of his voice, I don't think has been that much of an issue in terms of his cool factor.
No, and he sounds different on commentary, too, if you've ever heard him on Japanese commentary.
I think when he's nervous, he probably sounds very high-pitched, which is fair. We all sound different when we're nervous. Yeah. It's one of those things that could easily be a stumbling block, but I honestly don't think it will be.
Oh, I think he'll get over it once he gets used to being in that situation. But they really threw him into the deep end.
Oh, boy, did they.
With Yamato and Shun fighting over him, and I kind of wonder also if Mochi is gonna
make a bid,
throw his hat in the ring there, and just kind of be like, actually, we want this kid.
Because it's interesting that he, obviously, character-wise, he refused Yamato because he said he wasn't ready. And that could mean any number of things, and especially, obviously, now being harangued into doing a trios match with Shun and Homare. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really easy to be super, super high on the rookies and sort of overestimate how good they are, what their long-term prospects are, because Dragongate are so good at debuting people.
Right, yeah. The one thing that this isn't a criticism because it's completely understandable, but the one thing I noticed about him where he does look rough around the edges is when he kind of over-anticipates reversals. In a match, if you apply actual fight logic to it, you don't know that your opponent is going to reverse.
Yeah.
So he anticipates that a lot, I've noticed, and he'll kind of just stand there for a second and wait for the other guy to do something to him. So that is something that I notice when people are just out of the dojo here, when they debut on the indies and for several months, even, a year maybe of matches, they will always kind of, anticipate the next move. It takes them a while to loosen up and kind of play improv with it.
Exactly.
Because that's really what wrestling is.
Well, it's the amount of people that you see, they know that someone's going to kick out, so you push your opponent out of the pin for some reason. It happens to everyone. It is just about getting used to the flow and tightening up.
And the timing, too.
Yeah, tightening up the timing.
You can push your opponent away out of a pin, but it has to be when they kick out.
Yeah. And too often it's not. It's like, I know this is a bit awkward for you and you can't get out, so I'm going to push you. Okay, that's fine, but we can see that. We need more illusion.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll be clear here, and I've said this before. I know I'm very well aware that on my best day, I could not do the things that these people are doing on their worst day.
Absolutely not.
Uh,
Have you seen me try and walk in a straight line? No.
so anytime somebody has a criticism of somebody in the ring, I'm just like, yeah, okay, you couldn't do this.
Yeah, and I mean...
and I'm not saying you have to.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you have to be an expert. I'm not saying you have to be, like, deep into the business to
have an
have
opinion.
any kind of criticism. But if you're talking about athleticism, I mean, great on a curve.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's also, like, Kimura debuted 20 minutes ago. Like, cutting some slack on that one.
Yeah, and I thought that was funny. They recruited him into the All Japan match literally 5 minutes after his match ended. It's almost a running joke now where veterans will be like, you, kid, join me.
Come into my parlor.
Let's see, we need a partner. What are you doing?
Nothing great.
Which was kind of what the transition from Eto to Junior was. Yeah. Because they were like, you, kid, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? And you saved Mochi from a chair shot, so you
like the cut of your jib.
But it was all a ruse, wasn't it?
It was chicanery. It's still one of my absolute favorite reveals.
Oh, it might be my number one favorite reveal in wrestling. I mean, we'll get to talking about him, but it was just so brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this middle row of the unaffiliated block, Sairio hasn't really been doing much. I think, like, other than, the usual of being
GMing.
So signs matches.
Rolls his eyes at Shun Skywalker.
Yeah. Estrella is back in Japan, renewing his visa. I actually asked Ho-Ho about when he'd be back the day he arrived.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, actually, he just got back into town. And I was like, oh, okay. So he hasn't been booked on any shows yet, but we should be seeing him very soon. Yeah. Araken has been nowhere to be found recently. I'm not even sure what he's doing on the indies right now. I'll have to check that out. Yosuke Santamaria, she has now been taking indie dates in the Kansai region.
She's been doing a lot with Marvelous.
Yeah, good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like limited touring and limited dates after coming back from her injury, and very cool to see her branch out of more than just Kobe. I have not had the chance to see any of those matches yet.
Nor have I.
Yeah, Shachioka Boy kind of just doing the usual.
The usual.
One day you're just doing the usual. Punch Tominaga has done a bit more. Not super prominent, but like he's won Royal Sambos, and he's gotten a bit of shine fairly recently. But he's
getting into trouble.
Pretty much still doing the usual. Two that are missing from the last round now are Toru Owashi and Shuji Kondo. Kondo has finished up his Dragongate contract since we last saw him. I don't think he's exclusive to Noah, but he is mostly seen there now. I do hope he'll show up for special occasions again. Toru Owashi is supposed to be one of the Ultimo Dragons in is it the Gate of Miyane show?
Ultimo's Dragon. Yeah.
But yeah, he is now, I believe, doing elder care for, I think, his parents. Will show up still very occasionally. I think kind of they come to him, not when he comes to them.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Shuji Kondo, aside from doing his usual Noah dates, has also accepted, I believe it's like either a head trainer or head coach role in Marigold.
Oh yes, I'd forgotten about that, but yeah.
Yeah, so good for him. Good to see him get that opportunity.
I can't wait to see what his students turn out.
Nothing but King Kong lariats all the way down.
We'll see it immediately. We'll know.
But yeah, good for him. And, as critical as I am of Marigold, and I mean, that's just my personal distaste for Rossi, but...
Well, you wouldn't be the only one.
Well, we could go on for hours about that, I'm sure.
Not pertinent to this discussion.
Yeah, that is a deep rabbit hole. And then we'll get into the rest of that top row here. I think O'Neal Bandito is finishing up his run. I'm not sure if he's staying past this at all after that ladder match. I enjoyed his run, and I know he's gotten some criticism on not being perfectly tight with every move, which,
God forbid.
Whatever. Again, this goes back to me saying, like, yeah, you try it. He's young, he's very large, he has a complicated outfit, and he's adjusting to a style that is very very tight and very precise.
Yeah.
I don't fault him for it. I think people are overly harsh on him, and we'll kind of segue into talking about Monte on there, because if you remember when Diamante first showed up, he was not gelling well with the style at all.
Yeah.
And that took him a while too.
I think people don't realize how sort of steep a stylistic hill Dragongate actually is to climb, because most of the time...
Yeah, it's such a learning curve.
Yeah, most of the time, like, obviously they have their core roster that are always there and always doing that. They do more shows than pretty much any wrestling company in the world. So if you're coming into that, doesn't matter how good you are, there's going to be a learning curve. But on top of that, with how much the Dragongate style sort of asks of you, out of the gate, very, very few people are ever going to get that. And Bendito's been there, what, 3 months? Bit longer?
Well, yeah, he started with the USA shows in Vegas.
The Vegas shows as well asked something different from anyone that was wrestling the Dragongate wrestlers there. Not to talk down to anyone or anything, but the Dragongate guys were wrestling like 2 steps below where they usually do on those shows.
Right.
So someone gelling there is a bit different than gelling in Japan when you're wrestling a Dragongate schedule.
Right.
And honestly, okay, yeah, Bendito's not up to the usual standard of sort of guest spots, maybe. But A, he's on excursion. B, he's been there for, a few months.
And he's also very young.
Yeah.
23, I believe. Pretty sure he got in because he is friends with Flamita.
Yeah.
I think that's the connection.
Who I always forget is relatively, he's, 30? I always think Flamita should be much older than that, but he isn't. Yeah.
And I think it's pretty cool that he got a Triangle Gate run. I would not mind seeing him back. Also, recently found out that he is a subscriber. So, Bendito,
Hi,
thank you.
Bendito.
If you're listening.
We like you. Come back.
Him and Angel Ortiz.
Oh.
Hey, Ortiz.
Hi. Celebrity.
Yeah. So, and the other thing about him, some people just kind of gloss over it, and this is one of the reasons that I, off the top, I talked about, people being overly critical instead of enthusiastic, is when Bendito hits, he hits. He does some crazy moves.
Yeah.
In particular, basing for Jackie. The chemistry between those two, if you watch any match that has Bendito and Jackie in it, you will see some stuff you have never seen before.
It's completely galaxy-brained.
It's Bendito who Jackie first started doing that, satellite Cazadora driver on.
Wild.
Which blows my mind every time I see it. So yeah, one of the criticisms I have seen about him is that he's an excellent base, but he keeps trying to be a high flyer. But when he does do the high flying moves, he's amazing at it. So
it's just finding the right balance.
It's finding the balance, and it's getting used to the style and the timing. And there are some times when they will do triple team dives off the ropes where someone will bounce on the ropes a little earlier than the others, and it kind of throws off the balance of everyone else. But that happens everywhere, I think. And also, flying by the seat of your pants feel of a lot of luchadors, that's Lucha, baby.
That's Lucha. Again, that Lucha Revolution show that we went to, the tag team title match, I felt we were going to die just being in the audience, let alone what those guys were actually doing in the ring, which is stuff I have never seen before and will never see again. That's small room lucha. That's
something I think if you're only watching the highest level of lucha, like CMLL, you're not going to see that as much. But if you watch indie lucha, that's standard.
That's just
even guys
taking your life in your hands.
As amazing as some of the moves that Vikingo does, he messes up probably just as much. But when he hits, it's amazing. That's kind of the feel of pure indie lucha that I think a lot more people need to get used to. And also, just the more Bendito is here, the more he will adjust, just like Monte did.
Exactly.
And I think we can segue into Luis Monte. I don't know what they're doing with him, honestly.
No, I don't either.
The first round of this, I remember saying, he needs to get into a unit, right now. And I don't know if the lazily named Team Mexico is it.
Yeah.
It seems like he should have been somewhere by now. And he had that whole thing about how when he was invited to Gold Class, he said, no, I'm working on something.
He had an idea.
But I don't know if that was this.
I think that was just to extract him from the storyline, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that later on they can probably,
Retcon.
retcon that to fit into whatever he does, if they mention it at all. But maybe that trios team was the thing
Yeah.
that he was talking about. Maybe not. I think he would have fit into Gold Class at the time, but I'm not sure I would see a place for him in Love and Peace right now.
No, I do not.
I I think Decourage might be a good fit for him
Most people are sort of saying Decourage, yeah.
because he has teamed with them several times.
Yeah. Part of the quote unquote issue, I think, is obviously Decourage have kind of closed ranks, which makes sense. But it's one of those things. It's just the length of time it's been since Mante has kind of been a hot property. Sort of narratively, he's a little bit devalued by that. The fact that no one was like fighting for him exactly
Right.
after Big Hug. But it's Dragon Gate. You can always turn a corner and then something come out of the woodwork that you weren't anticipating. I think
Oh, sure.
Decourage makes sense. But at the same time, I don't know what that dynamic narratively would look like. That's not to say that
Hmm.
I don't think it would be good.
The other thing that I would say is a possibility is if he somehow reconciles with Shun.
Yeah.
We'll get into the many crimes of Shun Skywalker.
Ooh, that rap sheet.
There's nothing wrong with Monte. He's still excellent.
Yeah.
His timing is great. He's a great base. He can fly, and I know that he's probably got a spot on the roster for as long as he wants it because he's in tight with Ultima Dragon.
Mm.
I did like that he got his Los Copiadores match and
Yes.
the rematch because of the horrific accident that happened the first time.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's been able to celebrate for his anniversary,
Mm.
and so it's nice that they have given him some things, and that Triangle Gate run was fun.
Yeah.
The All Mexico team. I mean, I say first ever ladder match, but there was one that was in like one of the indies they collaborated with a long time ago. It doesn't really
That
count.
doesn't count.
There's also, if you count Stalker Ichikawa using a ladder,
That super
but
doesn't count.
it's not nothing. But I want more for him,
Yeah,
and I think he deserves it.
he does. I think it is probably just a case of not having something super motivated for him right now whilst everything
Hmm.
else is going on. And that's not to sort of excuse it, but there is a I think especially with Dragon Gate, we all get very caught up in like who's the main character right now,
Yeah.
who's pulling forward. And the thing is to have someone pull forward, that naturally means that certain people have to like step back. You can't
Hmm.
focus on everyone all the time because then nothing means anything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think Monte's just a little bit of a casualty of that because everyone else has
Hmm.
something a bit more motivated right now.
The other thing is, I could potentially see him getting frustrated and turning heel again because it was Shun who betrayed him. So now that Shun is not in the big heel unit, I
He'd
could see him
be willing to collaborate.
rejoining. Yeah, which I mean, we'll get into this, but Gajadokuro being kind of a beef unit is
I
that
mean,
would include him.
why wouldn't you have the tall guy? Yeah.
So let's go to Takashi. He has a lot has gone on with him
Yes,
since we
actually.
last talked. He is no longer doing the Takako thing that was just for the Owari Gate. I don't know if we'll ever see it again. I know some people had issues with that. He has been getting wins. He's gotten the Gaura TV title in All Japan.
Mm-hmm. He's doing a lot in All Japan.
He's gone down to his singular name, just Takashi. And he now does that jump for joy victory pose that I find very
It's
endearing.
so High School Musical.
Yeah. And the whole Hokutogun thing. I don't keep up with All Japan all that often, but when I do, it's usually to check out what Dragon Gate guys are doing there.
Mm.
So, I'll dip in for a Doi match or watched a bit of Kikta in the Champion Carnival. I know it's something that I should watch more, but I kind of just want all of these networks to consolidate and...
You know that will never happen.
Yeah. Well, Gaura has a stake in all of them, I
It will
think.
it will
So,
still never happen. This is
Yeah.
this is Japan. Japanese media works
Yeah,
very
it's all.
differently.
Well, I mean, I would have said the same about Wrestle Universe, but they keep adding,
That's
more
fair.
promotions to that. And then there's the United Japan thing. So,
I mean, you say there's the United Japan thing. Is there?
yeah.
Nominally, there is.
I mean, I say all this just to say never,
Mm.
but Dragon Gate is very isolationist at times, so it is impressive that they have been working with, guys from New Japan, guys from All Japan, guys from Noah,
Mm.
letting Mochi have his Buyuden guys, and
Reminding everyone that secret base is a thing that exists. Apparently, I still don't believe it. It's like narwhals. I
no,
don't think secret base
no,
is
it's.
real.
But yeah, Takashi has been doing quite a bit. He's been very busy,
Yep.
and good for him.
Yeah, he's doing real well in All Japan.
And he still manages to be one of the funniest guys on the roster. I think he's found his niche, and he was not there for a long time. Like I was saying about like Shachi and Mondai and Punch, they were just kind of doing their thing, and that was Takashi until pretty recently.
Yeah, where he's doing his thing, but like to the power of.
Yeah,
It's especially considering, so like he's changed his name to Takashi and just in kanji. And for anyone else, that would be like, I'm getting serious now. Look at the kanji I've chosen
hmm
for my name. I'm so serious. But I think he's gotten stupider, but like in the best way.
Well, that was like Jay pointed out that the kanji on his gear phonetically says "shut up,"
Superb.
and it doesn't actually mean anything.
No,
It's just because it's phonetically "shut up."
he's just an understander of the bit on a level that we cannot possibly comprehend.
And that's the thing is he's always got a bit, and it works for me.
Exactly.
I think he's very endearing. I should probably check into All Japan more often, but it's a time thing.
Yeah.
And
I only dabble.
especially with me getting monetized now, I now have incentive to make a lot more content, so I'm very busy lately. In addition to everything else I'm doing.
That's capitalism, baby.
It's more that I have more of an incentive to pour myself into it, where working on indie shows where it's like, are you gonna pay me?
Are you? Are
So.
you?
I've regaled you with those stories. Maybe I'll do a member exclusive tell-all someday.
That's for the Patreon.
Yeah, that's an entirely separate site.
And then I'll complain about all of my stuff.
Oh yeah. Maybe that's the thing is complaining about things is where the money is, so that's where we'll do it.
Yeah, but that's like,
But this for now, this here is an enthusiast podcast.
this is the happy side.
The next few in the list, there hasn't been much momentum for any of them, other than just doing what they're doing on the veteran side. Yasushi Kanda, much as I love him, he was kind of absent for a little while. I'm not sure if that was injury or... I don't remember seeing him in a lot of the multi-man tags a lot of the time, but it's always good to see him. Same with Genki. As I'm doing kind of a rewatch of older Dragon Gate, it's really become apparent how valuable Genki is. He was really the glue that held a lot of things together.
I think he's a sort of a strong example of the thesis of Dragon Gate in this slightly scrappy underdog vibe.
Yeah, I've called him the soul of Dragon Gate before, and I think that's still appropriate. I would like to see him do something. I don't know if he'll join a unit again. I know he's kind of in the twilight of his career, but Don Fuji has also not really been doing a whole lot lately. I have this fantasy booking. I really want to see a Don Fuji and Takashi tag team.
Oh, can you...
Just because the
chaos.
two of them would be so funny together.
Yeah, that's very Manzai duo.
Yeah.
They have slight Manzai duo energy.
I mean, even just have like a goofball veterans unit. What if you put Fuji, Genki, Kanda, Takashi, maybe Punch all in the same unit together and just, had them kind of goof around?
I was going to say, they'd achieve absolutely nothing, but it would be a joy to watch them try.
Absolutely, yeah. I do like the idea of everybody having a unit, whether or not they're actually doing anything. Ultimo Dragon...
Ultimo is Ultimo.
He is what he is, yeah. And he knows that, and he knows that he's going to participate in multi-man tags for about 5 minutes, and then probably get a Magistral Cradle, and then dip out.
Listen, if I were Ultimo, I would do the same.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. He has made his bank. He has earned his spot. Nobody can ever take that away from him. I
Exactly.
mean, he's the reason for all of this. So his role is not intrusive. He's still, to my knowledge, a creative consultant. Like they don't have him in a commissioner or headmaster role or anything like that anymore, really. So trot him out to top sales and
To appease.
otherwise do what he wants. The next tier is going to be a chunky one.
Let's go.
We're going to talk about Psypatra.
Let's go.
We've already talked a bit about this because I mentioned to you that, not the whole thing, but like Patra is an old Sanskrit word meaning wing or leaf. It can also mean vessel. It's also very similar to like pater, like father.
From Latin.
I think what he's getting at is sort of like psychic paternal figure, but it's like, but there are so many interpretations of it, and I would not doubt, and we've talked about this before with Shun, I don't think we're overthinking it because I think he thinks of this stuff.
I think so too. Especially with using Sanskrit, considering one of Shun's recurrent images is the Hamsa and the evil eye and the protection against the evil eye. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, in response to you, my initial immediate thing was it also sounds probably like a Persona reference. Because this man named an entire self-produced show after a Dragon Quest game. There's no way he doesn't play Persona, because there's two moves in there, one of which is Sayo, which is the psychic attacks, and then there's Meipatra. It tracks.
Yeah, and also the fact that, as you had pointed out, that Persona is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei, which is like all the classic JRPGs have you fight gods.
Yeah,
so
whilst doing massive deep dives into like syncretism and
Nietzschean philosophy,
various different types of philosophy. Yeah, which is why it appeals to me, of course. But it's very Shun-coded to have something that initially looks like it is incredibly referential and then have it be kind of dorky at the same time. He has many layers.
No, that's very on brand for him. I feel like I would be absolutely gutted if I had a conversation with him where I'd mention this stuff to him and he'd say, "Oh, I never thought of that before."
He'd say that just to mess with you.
Probably.
I mean, it's worth saying that we're kind of assuming that their like Twitter posts where they've used the phrase Psypatra means more than it is. It's not formalized that this is what Shun and Homare are going by.
Right. He has used it across platforms.
Yeah.
Jay said on the last Kodokan that he asked Homare about it and his hair fell in front of his face and he walked away.
Yeah.
So
could mean anything.
I love the dynamic between the two of them.
Oh, I'm obsessed.
Homare, God, he's been around for only a year. And he's already innovating. I think I mentioned the last time he does this kind of spaghetti at a wall approach and sees what sticks, but now he's a bit further along and he sees what sticks. And Psychic Ray, their double team finisher, is so impressive.
So cool. I don't know how the physics of it works. I mean, I do, but at the same time, you're watching it and it kind of doesn't make any sense.
It's a full rotation from Homare and then some.
Yeah.
Just he turns like the reverse neck breaker position into a DDT as he rotates, which is insane to me. And at the end of the day, it is really just a DDT, but
with extra steps.
Heavily assisted, high momentum one. Homare's got a new theme.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting because it's a style of music that was popular before he was born.
Yes. Oh God, don't. It's
early 2000s nu metal.
Yeah.
Or like just kind of like that, like post grunge almost, and it's just
has made a comeback.
I don't know if it works for him. I don't quite know if it fits.
I suppose we mentioned Gajadokuro's theme rules as well. I really like the Gajadokuro theme.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah. Homare is also incredibly popular.
Yeah.
Has unfortunately gotten a couple of stalkers along the way that I've heard about.
Yeah. Don't be weird.
At least 2 different instances of women who claimed to be his girlfriends who tried to get into meet and greets with that claim. And
unfortunately, that's not unheard of in especially things that sort of like idol-esque and idol adjacent. Unfortunately, it does attract that kind of fan. So put out that energy. Don't be weird. Stop being weird.
It's a big problem with in Joshi wrestling.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, yeah.
He's the only one of the Dragongate roster that I've heard. I'm sure it happens more, but
I think it also, because he's the youngest on the roster, I imagine everyone's a bit more protective of him as well, and he might not be able to,
Yeah.
draw the lines in the same way.
So one thing I wanted to talk about with this group,
If
if
that
that
is
is
your
your
real
real name,
name.
is like I was referring to earlier, the many crimes of Shun Skywalker.
So
Is
many crimes.
who forgives him now? Who does he draw into his circle? I mean, he literally grabbed Kimura by the arm and told him like, "You're teaming with us," but that's not a necessarily an endorsement,
No.
or it was just you're there because we can't go for the Triangle Gate with just the two of us. I'm really curious to see what happens to this team as it grows, because I think if they weren't planning on doing anything with them, they wouldn't get their own tier on the roster
Yes, they
page,
are already separated out from the unaffiliated.
which is exactly how they handled Decourage at first. They didn't have a name at first, but they had the two of them together. It seems like they're going to be something, whatever that is. Just looking through the roster, I don't know. There are people who never had direct problems with Shun, but he had problems with their unit.
Yeah. Well,
There are
Shun
people who
has
he's directly
problems
screwed
with
over.
everyone
Yeah.
to some degree. I mean, obviously that will be the big thing going forward, and this was always going to essentially come back round to Shun, is what does a redemption for Shun Skywalker look like?
And he's not interested in doing that.
No.
He has not changed in the slightest since he got kicked out of Zebrats.
And I lived for that for a start, because it would
Yeah.
have been completely antithetical. It would have completely undermined absolutely everything that Shun was going for if he just suddenly turned over a new leaf.
Yeah.
This is a character that has to do the work.
Right, yeah. The only difference is that if you watched the recent Fukuoka shows, and he was not booked on the shows, recovering from just like a mild knee injury, when his music hit and he came out and they weren't expecting him, people cheered like crazy for him.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, Shun's evil, but he's popular. That's never been in question.
Yeah, it's really interesting because now you have tweener in the purest sense of the word. He's an anti-hero now. And before, he was straight up villain.
Yeah.
And really leaning into that. Now, I think he's just so compelling that you can't help but be kind of fascinated by him and cheer for him against the, quote, more heel unit.
Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about Shun at length, and how interested I am to see if we do find a redemption for Shun. Obviously, it'll take time. What I'll be most interested in is how Homare plays into it, and whether it is a matter of someone of Shun reaching out, starting a journey to forgiveness, or if someone reaches out to him first.
Yeah, well, we already had that bit with Naruki Doi, which I thought was really interesting.
But also that's Doi.
Yeah.
Like,
And they were ready to turn on him immediately anyway.
chronic backstabbing disease, almost as bad as BB Hulk.
Yeah. But what was interesting about that is that Shun did make a note of saying that the overmask for Doi in their entrance was a gift to him. And Shun giving gifts is a really interesting new wrinkle with him.
It's like, how much do we trust that, considering how masks have figured into his story before?
Right.
And up
Is
until
it a mind
recently,
control thing? Or...
yeah. And obviously, I mean, I've written at length, and I've no doubt that when we see more of the story develop, I will be writing a follow-up. It's also especially interesting that we also need to mention that Shun has since become a YouTuber, which feels dangerous and also like the logical final step of this man rambling to himself. There is a lot of content in there.
It's never really anything completely cohesive or coherent, but it works for him. I think he does more character work than anyone in wrestling, honestly.
Yeah. The thing about, I've only watched a couple of the videos because my Japanese not that great. The auto translate, don't trust it. But there was one once he won the Dreamgate, which just had so many interesting beats that felt like they were extremely revealing in ways that almost felt too on the nose. But at
Hmm.
the same time, the like right at the end, Shun ends the whole thing by saying essentially, I wanted to create a family, and then it cuts to black. And that's the end of the video. And I was like,
Yeah.
you don't usually get that. That felt candid in a way that you don't usually get from Shun, but at the same time I don't trust it because he's also so self-produced. So
And also at the same time, like, how could you do that to me?
yeah,
How could you end on a cliffhanger like that and not elaborate?
and I was just sort of sat there just utterly fascinated by every single choice that he had made in that. But it was like 25 minutes of just telling a story, telling a couple of intersecting stories, and then ending it on a wham line. And then
Yeah.
now we have to move forward.
Even speaking as a wrestling fan, but my interest in wrestling on a global level kind of waxes and wanes. Like I have some ebb and flow to it. There are, promotions that I have dropped. There are ones that I've watched for a long time that I eventually lost interest in. And I've mentioned this before, but if I'm not watching Dragon Gate, I'm not watching wrestling because sometimes that has been the only one that I've watched. Even aside from that, I have mentioned before that Shun Skywalker is one of the most fascinating characters in any medium,
Yeah, agreed.
in my opinion. He's just there's nobody like him. There's nothing out there that does what he does. And he does that outside of wrestling a lot of the time.
Yeah. If and when we get that redemption, we get that face turn, I feel like it's going to go up there in the short list of redemption stories that are actually done extremely well. It's going to be like Shun Skywalker and Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that's kind of going to be in it.
I don't think he would go for it any other way.
Yeah. He's
And I
done too
think they give him
much.
I think they give him a good amount of creative freedom. So I don't think he would approve of straight up turning face.
No, there's no way to make that
And
work.
even if he did, I think it would be a ruse,
Yeah,
or
I
it would
wouldn't
be
trust it.
part of a greater arc about him.
The other thing is that if they did that, that would also undermine so many other characters, not just Gajadokuro, but like pretty much absolutely everyone in the like main thrust
Everyone
of the
he's screwed
roster.
over.
It's everyone if you just look at the list of everyone that's in like the key units right now.
Hmm.
So you couldn't do that without effectively completely destabilizing your entire narrative base.
Yeah. And one of the things that a few people have pointed out now is that he's using Ashla again, which is one of the few Star Wars references that he actually uses, other than the obvious name. It means the light side of the Force, and he stopped using it
Hmm.
when he turned heel. These little subtle signs of
Little
potential
bits.
redemption are really fascinating, but it's a slow burn and it's subtle.
Hmm.
And I was thinking that if we're talking who could forgive him or who he could bring to his side, I mentioned Monte before. I don't know how they get there, but it might be that Monte has been kind of aimless since then, and maybe they reconcile because it works. Because, I mean, if Kota Minora and Jason Lee could come back to his side, then I think Monte probably could too. I don't know if that's necessarily where
Yeah.
they'd want to go. I think Daya could potentially forgive him.
Daya would, yeah, would be the
In a
biggest.
way, getting unmasked is the best thing that ever happened to Daya.
Yes, I also don't think it would even have to be that. I think it's just because he's one of these people that has such a big heart,
Hmm.
despite the fact that he got a little bit mean and bitchy with Bravegate.
Hmm.
It's one of those things. If he can reach across the aisle, as it were, that could be a start
Hmm.
to things. Like everyone else, there are some people, I think there's a couple of people at least that are never going to forgive Shun, and I don't think they should.
Hmm.
Or at least not wholly, they'll never fully trust him.
Yeah, KZ is one of those that comes to mind
Yeah,
immediately.
it's the quote from Frankenstein that I used. You will come to them, you will reach for their forgiveness and you will be met with their detestation.
Hmm.
You have to, he's got to put in the work, and it'll be the people that can recognize that he's putting in the work, even if he doesn't get it right every time. Those are the people that are going to reach out first, and it'll be people like Dyer.
Right. But again, he has to want to put in the work, and he doesn't want to right now.
Exactly. And he doesn't right now.
Yeah. The other one I can see is possibly Jackie getting a little frustrated in his kind of being lost in the shuffle with Love and Peace, and because Shun has always wanted him.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the like giving Doi a mask as a gift, I had mentioned to Anthony, I said, well, usually when Shun likes you, he just puts his hands in your mouth. And that was
Yeah.
that was the thing with Jackie for a while.
Yikes.
And so I could see him coming into the fold. I mean, there's kind of this there's an appeal to me of merging Psypatra and D-Courage. I don't know if they'd ever do that. I do like that kind of in a Shun sort of way, if you interpreted his whole thing with telling Yuki Yoshioka that he wanted Dia Inferno back.
Yeah.
Not Yuki Yoshioka. I think, in his mind's eye and his warped vision, it was a way of saying, you need that fire back. And now he's kind of gotten that fire back after, inheriting the High Fly Flow from Tanahashi and kind of getting his groove back as the future ace of the company.
Oh.
So I think like there are always ways where you can sort of interpret what Shun says about people, that there's a certain sort of logic to it. Like even when he says, KZ shouldn't exist and should be wiped off the face of the earth, I can kind of see his logic in being like, you will never succeed as you are now, saying that like, natural vibes shouldn't be a thing and KZ shouldn't exist, and maybe that's kind of Shun's way of saying, like, you need to be something else or else you'll never reach your potential. And maybe there's some truth to that.
Maybe. But also at the same time, it's like, yeah, but not everyone has the same goals and not everyone looks for the happiness in the same way.
Oh, sure. I am talking specifically about Shun's vision for the world, which...
Yeah, which,
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah, we can leave that rhetorical because I think everyone pretty much knows what we're talking about there. As he sinks further into his delusions. But a lot of times he does end up being right, and that's kind of the scary part about him.
Vindicated in hindsight.
Like when he was talking about Minora being a spoiled brat who wants everything handed to him. He was right.
He was right.
When he talked about Jason Lee not being able to succeed in natural vibes, he was right. There's always something to the things he says, and I kind of wonder who else that's going to reflect off of. I mean, there's some interactions with Strong Machine J that we could get into later, but he has had his claws in everything.
Yep.
And it's really difficult to look at the past 3 years or so to find something that he has not been involved in.
Yeah. God forbid if you didn't like Shun Skywalker. Could you imagine what a nightmare this would be?
Well, I've encountered people who don't like the theatrical aspects of him.
Well, they're
and I
wrong.
kind of get that.
They're wrong.
Well, yes.
And they should leave.
I understand the perspective if that's not what you're looking for from wrestling, in which case,
Dragongate
tough.
is not for you.
Yeah.
It's just not for you, and that's fine.
And I want to get into this when we talk about Gajadokuro, but like wrestling is camp, and it has always been camp, and it will always be camp.
Pure camp.
You have to have a tolerance for camp.
It's the drag of sports.
Right. Someone was recently talking about how it is figure skating as well. There are many parallels.
Everything is wrestling, and wrestling is everything. Mm-hmm. It turns up when you least expect it.
So yeah, very interested to see where Psypatra goes from here, if that's the name they go with. I do really like the name. I
think it's really good.
Yeah, I hope to see a really cool logo, probably with some kind of evil eye sort of aesthetic to it.
Mm-hmm. Black and purple.
Yeah. And I want to see who else they recruit.
Who else looks like they might have psychic powers?
Yeah. Well, that would be a perfect way to debut Daitsuji Gucci.
Oh, true.
Because he's done the Mask Z, he's done the Shun projection thing before.
And we never found out about how he got involved in that or what he felt about that.
Yeah, it was, the only thing I think they actually said about it was that he said he was forced to do it. So,
yeah,
that was the extent of it. And by whom, who knows, because Shun was absent at the time, because he was in the UK. And
Yeah,
in the
funny that.
States, I think he was touring
Mm.
just overseas at the time. So yeah, it was really the rest of Zebrats who were forcing him to do it. Unless Shun is actually...
Unless.
Unless he's
Unless
actually... He has that mind control that he
he was
can...
astral projecting
Well,
into Tsujiguchi.
he's really leaning into that now too. Is he's doing
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing about how like I'm actually literally psychic. Like that
Yeah.
whole that segment at Kodokan where he was talking about who his partners are going to be for Gate of Miyane and
Yes.
the X and Y, and then it came to him in a vision, and he like flipped out about it, and even Homare
He
didn't
was
know what he was doing.
literally talking to the voices,
Yeah.
like live in 4K.
So remains to be seen if his predictions are accurate, or if he'll even reveal what those predictions are, or if he'll just say like, "Oh yeah, I knew about that the whole time," which is much more likely.
Yeah, a cat landing on its feet. That's Shin.
It's Pee Wee Herman falling off of his bike and saying, "I meant to do that."
Wow. Pee Wee Herman, Neil Breen. What's next?
He is in my personal zeitgeist because I did recently watch the documentary about Paul Rubens, which is very good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that actually. But yeah, on the
You
note
need the
of
whole scope of pop culture here at
yeah,
Normal About Dragongate.
on the note of running the spectrum from Neil Breen to Paul Rubens, are we ready to move on, or do we have? Are we ready to
Sorry,
move on, or do we have?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just hit me what you were doing as a segue there, and my God.
Uh,
It's too
the way my mind goes from point A to point B.
I applaud it.
This is what I'm like all the time.
I know. And I still talk to you.
Yeah. Oddly
What does that
enough.
say about me?
Well, just on a personal note, that's who I know sticks around in my life is when I can be like this, and people, rather than being repulsed or repelled by the way my mind works, they're fascinated by it.
Yeah. Put you in a
So,
snow globe and shake you.
okay. So on the note
Anyway.
of segues, are we ready to move up, or do you have more to say about
No,
this?
we're groovy. We can move on.
Okay. Yeah, let's go to Kung Fu Masters. They have not done a whole lot since we last talked, although I do have more of a handle just from talking to Ho-Ho on how like what their actual setup is. So the core members, of course, being Ho-Ho Lun, Ho Lee, Genki's alter ego, and Reach Tomonaga, Punch's alter ego. There is also so I got this out of Ho-Ho, is that both Mondai Ryu and Shenlong 2 are considered part-time members, and they're supposed to be different people.
Supposed to be.
Yeah. So technically there are 5 members, but 2 of them are part-time. There was that trios tag on the Kobe show where Yosuke was Shenlong 3, but then unmasked as Yosuke mid-match. And she was part of, under Shenlong 3, was part of Kung Fu Masters 1, but I believe that neither Shenlong 3 or Yosuke are part of Kung Fu Masters 2. So that's kind of the setup
I've
they have
become
going
the
on.
math lady gif. This is far too complicated for me. I need a chart.
I mean, unless they need an extra, and then she'll probably team with them anyway. So
As you do.
it is just a fun little side project unit. It gives Ho-Ho something to do outside of just, commentary and singles matches, and the throw everyone together multi-man tags they have. I am glad they exist, even if they don't always do a whole lot. I'm gonna have to reach out to Ho-Ho at some point and see if we can actually get him on one of these episodes.
I can only imagine how that conversation would go down. What does Ho Ho Lin know about Neil Breen? That's the real question.
No.
Have you seen I Am Here Now?
That is actually one I have not seen yet.
Oh, I have a project to suggest.
I'll get to it. No, it's cool just like being able to chat with him sometimes and
Hmm.
get little bits of information from him. I try not to hound him with questions. Same with Jay. I know that Jay is, he's got a lot going on, and he probably doesn't want to be bombarded with a ton of Dragon Gate questions all the
Yeah,
time.
who wants to talk to
Um,
Dragongate nerds?
I honestly would rather talk to Jay about music. So if I ever
Mm,
have him on here, we'll probably just talk about music all the
I
time.
mean, I'm down for that. You know me.
I mean, it'll be mostly like '90s industrial and synth pop. But
I can smile and nod.
I think a lot of people still don't realize what a Renaissance man he is and
Mm.
how much he actually does. Still, also, I believe, Middle Kingdom champion.
Oh, I haven't checked.
Yeah, that's a Chinese promotion. He had signed an actual full contract with Dragon Gate by the last time we spoke
Yes,
about this. I
just recently, yeah.
love that for him. I don't really, see a whole lot other than like just kind of like in on the joke from Reach and Holy in this unit. So
Yeah,
don't need to dwell on them.
it's all it needs to be.
So let's get into Gajadokuro,
Let's get into it.
the just recently formed, as of this recording, new heal unit. Something that has been mentioned right from the start is the pun in the name, which is Gashadokuro is yokai of a giant skeleton figure in Japanese mythology, which is made up of I believe, the souls of people who have starved to death or
Mm.
were unburied in wartime.
Yeah, it's the rattling bones.
Yeah, and replacing the kanji of sha with ja, which means snake,
Yeah,
which changes the whole translation to basically we are skull snakes. Very metal.
extremely metal. But also, I was not the only person to immediately think, yeah, tunnel snakes rule. Because just the immediate association that came into my head was Fallout 3.
Hmm.
I am so into this whole aesthetic and vibe.
Yeah, I really like it. I kind of like in their logo to there's a bit of pirate flag in there.
Yeah, it is kind of the most recent Yakuza side game that had Majima going off being a pirate in Hawaii. It kind of has that energy to it, and I dig that
Mm-hmm.
a lot. It's also kind of like emo boy doodling on your notebook. It's a little bit lame, but that's what makes
Yeah,
it cool, and that's Dragon Gate.
it's the edge lordiness of it that
Mm-hmm.
that works for me. I've been hearing that fans in Japan, I don't know if it's ill received, but some people have been talking about like how corny it is. And
Yeah,
but like, like I said, it's like wrestling is camp and you have to have a certain tolerance for camp. And it's also way less campy than a lot of wrestling that's out there. So
I'm not sure
it's
why
like
this
this is the heel
is.
unit. They're supposed to have this kind of they're supposed to have this intimidating kind of like it's skulls and it's snakes and it's like a yokai reference and yeah, cool. All right. That's a heel unit to me. What else do
Yeah,
you want?
the whole point is to try a little bit too hard. The problem with anything in wrestling is if that you look at it too hard, it is dorky and uncool. And that's
Mhm.
just par for the course. You've kind of got to accept it. You've got to roll with the punches. If you look in the grand scheme of heal units in Dragon Gate, this is entirely par for the course. I think everyone got quite comfortable with Zebrats, which is one of the reasons why
Mhm.
it needed a shift. But that always was obviously driven by Shun and his particular force of personality. But if you
Yeah.
sort of take Zebrats as it is and was, that was also kind of pretty lame.
Yeah, and also didn't really fit considering that they weren't all Zebrats. They weren't all Zoomers.
No. So it's like, okay, I guess, yeah, it's corny, it's wrestling. That part's not a surprise. We need to see what they do now. And here's the other thing. It could have been a way worse name. If we're talking about units in Dragon Gate, it could have been a way
Yeah,
worse name.
I like it. I like the name. I like the aesthetic. I like the logo. I see nothing wrong with
No.
it.
I appreciate that they're doing a Japanese name as well, and that it is
Yeah.
uniquely Japanese. It's a pun, it's a reference to, like you say, a yokai, so it's a cultural thing, whilst, and they're also going by the kanji. I think that
Hmm.
makes them stand out in a lot of ways. It has a different kind of verve.
Yeah, the last one that I can recall was Akatsuki.
And everyone has an Akatsuki. That's like every single idol franchise in the world has had an Akatsuki. But they have not had a Gajadokuro.
So yeah, they are unique in that way. I really like the new gear. I like the color scheme of the
Yes.
black and white with the red
Little bit of red.
accents.
Kai's shoes. Sorry, I just remembered Kai's shoes. His clown shoes. It's so delightful.
Is there a hidden connection between Kai and Red Shoes Umino?
Well, there is now. That's Christian Anderson.
Okay. So yeah, Kikuta's got the kind of like the pentagram with the skull.
Mm.
I saw people saying that Minora kind of just had like the standard black trunks, but I actually saw pictures of his gear and it's all snake skin.
Yeah.
So that I think is really cool, especially if you see it close up. He's also got the spike leather jacket along with Jason, who has the same thing. Jason is carrying a skull around.
A little bit on the nose, Jason, but okay, we support you.
Jason can't not accessorize. Like if you have seen his entrances in the past like 6 months or so, he keeps adding accessories. He's got like the cane, he's got the mask, he now has a skull. It's like I love the accessories that he brings. It's like if Jake Lee's whole Castlevania thing actually worked.
What was it that Coco Chanel said? Before you leave the house, look in the mirror and take one thing off. I think Jason needs to take a few things off. But you know what? Okay.
I think it works.
Okay.
I think it works for him. Because there's that logic, but there's also, hey, why not just lean into it?
Exactly. That's
like lean
true.
fully into it.
That's true.
And since our last round of these podcasts, Jason did reach out to us and explain that his entrance mask is based on the cordyceps from The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. So very cool to learn that. And if Jason, if you're listening, thank you very much for that, and thank you for supporting us.
Yeah.
Kai, I like his new pants. He's kind of got like all airbrushed skulls and snakes, and he's got the little red accents in his hair, and as you said, the red shoes.
Clown shoes. It works better than that particular shade of yellow did for him. It's also not like RED red, which is a horrible orange base red that should never be seen on anyone ever again.
Ishin kind of has like a snake pattern of like the white on his trunks. He's also doing that face he makes now where he sticks his finger in his nose, and he's just being a silly little guy.
It's giving Crayon Shin-chan.
The one I actually really like is Yoshiki Kato.
He's
got that
so cool.
Yeah, the new long pants. It's got like an oni on it. He's got the red accents, and he's got the whole like full arm sleeve.
Yeah.
He said something about there being significance to it being on his left arm. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, I think he looks really cool. But yeah, we can go through each of them one at a time, more than just speaking about their gear.
No, that's the only thing that matters.
Kikuta, as we were talking about before, I think he's a strong champion right now. He's got his hammer, his novelty hammer. Yep. I do kind of wonder, it's more of a mallet, so I'm not going to make the Triple H comparison with the sledgehammer, because it is more of a mallet. It's more like what the Bludgeon Brothers had when it was...
Stop bringing these memories back to the fore. I'd suppressed all of this.
I mean, I love Brody Lee. But,
yeah.
Rip. But that might have been the worst iteration of him.
It was questionable, that's for certain.
But I think it's more of an aesthetic thing.
Yeah. It's more about the implied threat.
Yeah. He's really come into his own as a character over the past few months, I think. Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting how he got there, too. He's leading the charge for D-Courage for a long time. He's champion as a member of D-Courage. And then Yuki comes back and he's like, oh, sorry, kid, I want to be in tag league with my buddy Daya.
Yeah.
And I understand it. I guess the whole Daya Inferno thing was a ruse the entire time, and he was in on it.
It can be read either way, which I think is good. I wouldn't want that to be too clear.
Yeah, but I think the timing is really interesting, where it would have been like, Yuki comes back, takes his spot, and then he's like, oh, well, like I was hoping to be in the tag league, but yeah, I get it. I understand. You're back and tag with Daya, and then he immediately goes to Zebras and says, "Hey, here's what's up. I want to be a part of you instead."
I mean, yeah,
The other way to read it is that Shun was doing all the Daya Inferno chicanery, and because he was the one who brought the mask to the ring,
mm-hmm,
and then Kikuta was accusing Yuki of it, but then got proven wrong. But then he was like, "Okay, you know what? You're right."
yeah.
Not sure which I like more, but there are multiple ways to read that.
I mean, perhaps going against the grain, I did like Kikuta as a face. I realized it wasn't necessarily the most natural position for him to be in. As I said, the cycles of storytelling, sometimes people have to step back. And for a while, Kikuta was one of these people that kind of had to step back a little bit because other people's stories were taking the fore. But the idea of that sort of building a resentment is very interesting. But at the same time, I don't necessarily see this as being Kikuta regressing because of necessarily a frustration that's been building. I think it was like being a good guy was kind of the side quest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I need to study the tapes more. I need to do a bit more of the of absorbing what's going on and what he's getting at. And now that Gajadokuro is formed officially, I think we can see what the mission statement is going forward. But it does make so much sense him taking the belt off Shun and being involved directly in that way in Shun's story, because he hasn't been sort of involved in the main thrust of a story for a while. Even when he was holding the Dream Gate, there was a sense of detachment to his reign.
Yeah, his story was more in the background because it was a greater story about the Reiwa Six, which
Mm,
he had named. And then I think also there's a bit of frustration there with the rest of the Reiwa Six not really living up to what he hoped they would.
yeah,
And Shun saying he was above it and didn't want to be part of that group.
yeah.
So it makes sense that he was taking that out on Shun.
Yeah, in other places, I've talked sort of fairly at length about people taking, like fans taking the Reiwa 6 a bit too seriously
Mm-hmm.
as more than it actually is. It's a narrative device.
Right.
And the failure, quote unquote, of the Reiwa 6 was to get to this point, because that was the story. Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily it was always supposed to quote unquote fail, but you set characters up like that. There's only a couple of ways that that's going to go, and what
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing is the fallout of all of that and how it reflects on Kikuta and how it interacts with Kikuta's sense of self, which has obviously gone through a lot of changes, especially coming off serious injury that derailed everything. I think there's just so much like meat on the bones that's really, really interesting about that interaction of what Kikuta's sense of self actually is.
Yeah,
And especially coming back now into being Dreamgate champion again as a heel. It's just very interesting to me.
and also and whether this was like the company backpedaling towards regressing back towards the veterans, or whether it was a narrative device, and it could be
Yeah.
a bit of both. But it was also the quote failure of the Reiwa Six was also a plot device to build up Paradox. They needed to be established. They had Yamato as their champion, and they needed to establish the veteran group as like it's right in the name, the paradox of
Mm.
having the veterans still on top in a youth focused promotion.
Yeah, it's that friction which is there across all levels, like because if you
Yeah.
look at the Reiwa 6 from a sense of like a marketing thing, perfect, works perfectly. Like they're the Disney princesses.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about who's on top of the promotion, who is involved in all the stories, who's still telling the stories, who's popular and stuff, like the Reiwa 6 have been that. It's not that they haven't.
Hmm.
It's not like,
Yeah.
not to rag on anyone specifically, but the new Three Musketeers in New Japan has not panned out particularly.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to point any fingers, but the Reiwa 6 have always been involved.
Right. And you've got the new four pillars in all Japan. Stardom had a
They had freedom.
yeah. Also, if you look back within the company, there was the original Big Six, and
Hmm.
like Hozawa was one of them, and he never got the Dream Gate. BB Hulk was one of them. He only got it once. It was who they were focusing on from a narrative perspective. It wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily, who's going to be carrying the company, who's going to be on top all the time.
Yeah. And for one thing, you can't have everyone on top all the time because you've only got one main event.
Mm-hmm.
You can put everyone in it, but someone's got to win,
Yeah.
So
And this is all it's a greater narrative of what Kikuta's all about, because he's doing this whole like strongest survive kind of thing now.
yeah,
And the interesting thing about that is we always see whenever a new heel unit forms under a new leader, we always see them start jettisoning older members and, replacing their lineups gradually. And if Kikuta is targeting the Reiwa 6, it's kind of like, is Minora next on his list? Or
Yeah.
he's eventually going to be, I think.
can't catch a break, that guy.
He had Shun in his sights already. Probably he's going to have problems with Yuki probably immediately, I think.
Before he turned, he had that whole thing with SMJ.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to come around too.
Yeah, probably more immediately.
Like Benkei is going to make a challenge, and
Yay.
like he can always come back to that position. And it'll always be a strong defense. Whether or not they're actually doing anything with Love and Peace, we'll get there. But it's been used as a vehicle to get Kikuta over, even in the background. If he's not prominently part of a major storyline, it is still something that's been tied back to him, because he was the start of that, and that was when he was champion before, and now he's champion again. So he's kind of saying like, okay, well, where are we now? What's the current status of it?
Yeah, it's the iteration, the iterative quality of storylines in Dragongate. We love a circle. We love a distorted mirror moment.
Also, glad that he cut the hair, because it looks
Oh,
better
that
than
was
the
that was a choice.
the little mini dreads that he
was
had.
bad.
And before that, the mushroom hair, and
Yeah. I mean,
He's
I
had
can
some
stop
interesting
calling him
choices.
Boss Baby now. Will I?
he always kind of looks like a giant baby to me, just because of his proportions.
I'm afraid he has Coppertone baby syndrome.
I like that he's leading the new unit, and that means he's going to be in that position for quite a while, as long as this unit succeeds, which I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
You gotta have a heal unit, and this one is a pretty solid one.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kota Minora. It's interesting that when the new unit changed, he shaved the facial hair.
Yeah. And then he's gone with this middle part sort of moment with the hairstyle.
He does change his look up a lot. Did notice that he bulked up as he's gotten further into aesthetics, and that's like what I was talking about before. They have really become kind of the beef unit. Like, they don't have a Bravegate contender.
Yeah, they're all pretty burly guys now.
Which is, I think, that goes along with Kikuta's whole thing about like the strongest survive, and he wants to build it up on strength.
Yeah, and setting that very deliberately separately from Zebrats, which were very much about shenanigans and underhanded tactics, whereas Gajadokuro is very like upfront. And that's fun. That's interesting.
And I think we're still going to get the Zebrats crowd brawls, but I think that's pretty evergreen.
That's because they're fun. Like, it's one of those things. There's the odd thing that you have where you have this misstep and mismatch between watching a show and actually being there. And sometimes when you are producing a show like that, you have to prioritize the audience that is in attendance. And we've been involved in a Zebrats crowd brawl, and they're fun as hell.
We were right up on the forefront of Zebrats crowd brawling,
fun as hell.
It is a blast.
So it's worth keeping.
I don't see that changing.
No, nor should it.
And if you're at Korakuen Hall, they will go anywhere. So
you are not
nobody
safe.
is safe. But yeah, I think Minora, I think he's a strong second right now, and I think that's a good place for him to be. Like, they have had statements, and this is, I'm sure it's kayfabe and whatever, but he's made statements about not wanting to be the leader. He wants the admiration and he wants the attention, but he doesn't want the accountability.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the responsibility.
real. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I don't want a promotion in my job.
Yeah, it seems like his, from a character perspective anyway, he's happy where he is.
Yeah.
He's good at, with being top henchman. I'm not sure if this is an accurate analogy, but like the capo.
Mm,
And yeah, there are a bit of Yakuza aesthetics in this
yeah.
unit, so that's
Oh,
kind
just a
of
touch.
where he is. Yeah, I think he's good where he is.
Yeah, I do want a little bit more of a, I suppose, an internality that we haven't seen in a
Mm,
while, but also at the same time, like I said, sometimes you've got to drop back a little bit, and it's not Minora time right now.
yeah, and I do like that they kind of threw him a bone plot wise when Gold Class transitioned to Love and Peace,
Yeah,
where they Gold Class won out as far as the name, but then he comes out and he's like, no, no,
hang on,
I own the rights to this. I don't
that's
know why Doi
so
didn't
silly.
still own the rights to it, but
Well, don't forget that Doi was so hell bent on wooing Minora in the first place. Why wouldn't he?
right,
Sweeten the pot.
yeah, yeah.
I own 51% of this company.
You have a controlling stake
Exactly.
in the
Controlling
brand.
stake in gold class.
Yeah, let's go with that.
It'll do. It'll do.
But yeah, I loved that his contingency was like, yeah, you can keep being Gold Class if Rita calls himself Minorita again. And he's like, okay, no, let's call ourselves Love and Peace. so so I like that they gave him that little bit, and it was a really fun little character moment for him where you don't always get the callbacks like that in this company,
Not
and I
explicitly.
appreciated that they came full circle on that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I mean, the basic premise of going through the roster is to update on what's been going on since the last round of them. So most of that time, Minora was Twin Gate champion.
Yes.
So they weren't defending a whole lot, but they did have strong defenses when
Yeah.
they did.
It wouldn't, like, I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses, but it wouldn't have made sense for them character wise to defend at every given opportunity. Like, they were champions, but they weren't like
Oh yeah,
fighting champions. Like, that wasn't the point. They don't have
no,
anything to
I feel
prove.
like that would be more of a Jason thing if they wanted to do it, but Minora's whole thing is that
Do the
he's
least
entitled.
possible.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's entitled and he wants to be slotted in there and just keep his status no matter what it takes, and he doesn't have to defend it because he's proven himself
He
already.
won
And
it. Like, what else do you do?
yeah, and I think that works really well for him. I think that he can always still be a strong contender for the Dreamgate once Kikta drops it, and because I don't see them doing a title shot within the unit,
No.
even though there are a lot of strong contenders for it within the unit. Although it would be very interesting if a heel unit formed and then said, I'm only going to defend it against other members of my own unit.
And then you have a whole match, and then you're like, okay, now pin. Now the time pin. Lie down.
Yeah.
Good bit.
Jason Lee, kind of in the same boat
Mm.
as far as his progress has mostly been a Twin Gate champion since the last time we had a round of these. Like I said, he's added to his accessories and his aesthetic. Now that Music Man is doing themes again, I would like to see him get something other than Chase on the Breath.
Mm.
As much as it is a banger of a theme, it doesn't really lend itself to like dark, edgy heel.
Yeah, we need like new metal. We need to get
Yeah.
like goth adjacent.
But I would like to see something new for Jason that's kind of like along that same line. Like if they gave him Homare's theme, I think it would actually fit pretty well.
Mm.
They could always also do the whole like heel thing of we give you like a down tempo minor key remix.
Oh, a classic. If it works, it works.
I mean, it worked for Shun
Exactly.
and BB Hulk, like in spades. BB's story turning from like a dance anthem to like a goth metal theme for Darkseid was chef's kiss.
Very strong.
The only thing that I do kind of miss about the previous Zebrat's lineup in regards to Jason is that I really liked, speaking of Homare, the tag team that he was kind of on and off with Homare as like the kind of like father and son edgelord team.
Yeah, there was a lot to that, but also at the same time, obviously Homare's whole deal is much more tied up with Shun from the beginning anyway.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
maybe we'll come back to it another, back through the mirror.
If Shun and Jason ever reconcile, which, anything's possible.
Well, as we've learned, yeah.
Like a Shun, Homare, Jason, Darkseid Hulk edgelord team would be a lot of fun.
I like how everything that we're sort of fantasy booking is just like no color, all dark, all goth, all 9-inch nails and associated properties.
Well, I mean, hey, I just saw 9-inch nails and they've still got it. So.
Oh, this is true, yeah.
You want cool aesthetics? Like, go to a 9-inch nails concert in 2025. But yeah, like, you've got your goth, you've got your emo, you've got your industrial with Jason, and it's all part of him being peak edgelord, and it works for him.
Yeah.
And even more now that you have the darker aesthetic of Gajadokuro.
Mm.
And I think his look is really kind of what exemplifies the whole unit. He's kind of the soul of the unit in that way.
Everyone taking aesthetic cues from Jason Lee. Wow, we really are through the looking glass.
We've come a long way. And it is also kind of his dynamic with Otominora as a tag team partners. They've both got the spiked leather jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Jason's got the skull. Minota's got the snake skin. That works for them. They're kind of representing the brand.
There's a symbiosis to it, I think.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And I think they work together really well as a team. Jason's also kind of gone from the sleeveless top to the tank top. He's got the thinner straps. Gives him a different look without changing things up too much.
We are not immune to arm.
Not quite the Scorpion Mortal Kombat thing anymore, but...
Boo, hiss, bring it back.
Yeah, I did like that.
I don't remember. I don't think so. I was too distracted by the skull to notice, to be honest.
I mean, fair.
Where'd you get that?
Yeah, I mean, I say this every time we talk about him, but Jason has long been one of my favorites. And glad to have him as a mutual fan of my content. I think that Jason is probably almost a spiritual successor to the Darkseid Hulk aesthetic, even though we've seen a bit more of Darkseid in BV Hulk recently. Not quite Visual K, I wouldn't say.
Not quite, but
in the same vein.
Gesturing in that direction, yeah.
Yeah. I would actually love to see more Visual K wrestlers.
Legit, I want a trios or a unit that's just like Versailles, and they that's kind of Masquerade, but more. I need the powdered wigs.
Yeah.
I need the makeup.
Yeah. Yeah, the only one I can think of, I do know that Abaddon is specifically inspired by Visual K.
Yeah, they are.
There's one look that Abaddon had a while ago that was specifically Kyo from Duran Grey.
Oh, work. Yeah. Oh, it always comes back to Duran Grey, doesn't it? Unfortunately, for my sins, I am a long-time Gazette fan, which, well...
There was actually... Yacht was involved with Shima for a while.
Oh, yeah, because he turned up at that one show, and I was like, why is Gact here? But also, at the same time, that's a man that just does side quests, so...
Right. I mean, there was a bit of Melis Miser in Masquerade, I would say.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, speaking about Jason, I mean, his first unit was Maximum, and 21G was a bit Visual K, too. With First Finger.
True.
He was wearing the mask. He was always very visual.
That's a tangent. A good one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does, relate to Jason in a lot of ways because he is a very aesthetic wrestler. He is very much look and presentation. Aside from being literally one of the best junior wrestlers in the world.
He's so fantastic. It's infuriating.
I mean, I keep saying the one word that keeps coming up when I look at his offense is how crisp it is.
Yeah.
He'll do something that's a spot that's all of his own, and it's just perfectly executed, and it's fast, and it's tight. He hits that, he nails it every time.
Yeah, because he looks like someone that should have a lot of gravity to him, but
Yeah.
again, he's got a pact with gravity. Like, they don't, they have an understanding. Because he just moves so
Mhm.
quickly.
Yeah, and even I think I mentioned this last time, and it's even more so now, is that bulking up has not changed him,
No, it's wild.
and we love him for it. I think we can move to Kai. Kai is an interesting
An
case
enigma,
because
honestly.
the main thing I want to say about Kai is that I think it's really interesting that he has survived as a heel without getting kicked out since RED.
Yeah.
Actually, going back and I'm working on this maybe further along. Like if people are listening to this in the future, it may already be out. I've been working on a retrospective about the survival cage match,
Oh,
and when Kai turned and joined RED, he was a replacement for BB Hulk in Tribe Vanguard,
mm.
and BB Hulk's heel turn was because he was injured and came back to find that Kai, the man who injured him, was now part of Tribe Vanguard. When BB Hulk turned, he joined RAD and turned against Yamato for recruiting him. And then Kai also joins RAD
Just,
while BB Hulk is still a part of it. And I guess they reconcile from that, or just that's the thing about a lot of heel units is that it can be a lot of heels coexisting and not necessarily liking each other.
just the coexist sticker.
But yeah, Kai turned heel in one of the cage matches and joined RED, and he has been heel ever since. And that is a long span of time for a heel.
Yeah. Especially, like, we've been saying, and I've been saying, and perhaps I'm talking out of turn, having not been in Dragon Gate that long, but my God, Kai, do something. That's not to say that he's like useless or he's wasting space in the heel unit or anything. He's wildly entertaining. It just feels like there's not, like, what's going on here? Nothing much, really.
Yeah, I mean, like the last thing that he was really doing, like I appreciate that he has this whole dynamic with Ishin and
Mm,
Kato as Triangle Gate champions, and they've carved out a niche for themselves as being kind of like the trios team of the
yeah.
heel unit. Whereas you have Jason and Minora as the Twin Gate, the tag team. I actually really like that kind of the whole lineup of Gajadokuro is that you have the Dreamgate singles guy, you have the Twin Gate
Mm-hmm.
tag team, and you have the trios team.
And then Gianni Valletta can go after the Brave Gate.
Well, yeah, we'll get to him in a bit, but he's because he's a bit of an enigma right now. He's a bit of a
Yeah.
question mark. But yeah, kind of the last thing that Kai was really doing was wrangling
Yeah.
Yanni Valletta, and he also had the brief stint in going back to All
Mm.
Japan, and I legitimately thought that they were going to put the Gouda TV title on him in that 5-way because I think that he would have been able to do the most with it,
Mm.
either in Dragon Gate or stints in All Japan. But either he didn't want to go back, or
Yeah.
they just figured Takashi would be able to do more with it. If they do something with him, it's a long time coming.
Mm.
Heel units usually kick out the oldest members first, so I think there would be a target on his back. I don't know if they're gonna like add more to them first or separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. Yeah, if I was Kai, I would keep my head on a swivel.
Well, yeah, I think there's also the sort of mission statement has been laid down. And over the next
Hmm.
couple of months, we'll see exactly how they plan to enact that and if everybody is on the same page, because that's always interesting. One of the things with Zebrats was always like, yeah, we're sort of doing Shun's bidding, but who really saw eye to eye necessarily in that?
Hmm.
Gajadokuro, at least for the most part, all seems to be pointed in the same direction
Yeah, that's a good point.
with the same methodology. As Zebrats,
Yeah.
it everything was a bit kind of scrumbled together, but it worked because you had a mastermind puppeteering everyone else. This
Hmm.
is like everyone pointing in the same direction, wreck shop.
Yeah, that is true, and that's why, like, as much as people say, like, "Oh, Kai could join Paradox" or whatever, I don't think he really needs to go anywhere. I would like to see more from him from a character perspective,
Yeah,
but yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to say about him because he hasn't been up to much other than the many, many shots that
so many.
this specific Triangle Gate team has had.
I think it's also worth remembering that having Kai in that match as well, in a ladder match, was significant too. A ladder match in a promotion where people don't tend to do gimmick matches like that, particularly. You need grounding people in that.
Yeah, and he is like the one specific hardcore guy.
Yeah,
Like he
exactly.
has that background. That does make a lot of sense that he was in there. And also with this team, he can kind of be the sleazeball dad to the other two.
Yes, he's always had that particular sort of evil uncle kind of energy.
I always like what he does. He does what he does very well. But just yeah, give him a little more material. I think
Agreed.
we can move on to Ishin. Ishin has
Ishin.
somehow, since the last round of these podcasts, somehow managed to become even more gremlin.
Oh, so much. In K-pop terms, Ishin has become the bias wrecker because he's everyone's favorite that they didn't expect to be their favorite, just because
Mm,
he is so much personality and
yeah.
he does it so well.
And if things shift for him, I think he can easily transition that into a face run
Yeah.
because he was very popular in Vegas
Mm-hmm.
and people immediately connected with his character.
Yeah.
The funny, almost kind of buffoon type, but capable buffoon. Like,
Yeah,
if we're gonna put this in D&D terms, he'd be like the trickster rogue.
as we do, as we always do.
Yes. And he also gives Gajadokuro kind of like where it's a lot of tough guys, he kind of gives it that, he gives him a bit of
A little
unseriousness
bit of
and
levity.
yeah. Like and it's very much an archetype in Japanese media as well.
Mm.
It's like it's anime, it's film, it's even going back to like it's theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
He's a theatrical archetype.
Yeah.
I was in a stage production of Rashomon
Oh,
once,
wow.
and it was a blast. I got to like sword fight and everything. I loved it. I played the dead samurai,
Mm.
so I was in all the flashbacks and everything. But there was like the wig maker character.
Yeah.
Ishin kind of reminds me of that because he's sort of
Yeah.
like this capable, mischievous buffoon type of
Yeah.
character who's like he's kind of starting shit, but for his own amusement.
Yeah. Noah kind of has a couple of similar things with Team 2000X, which to begin with is,
Mm,
obviously a riff on several different things in wrestling history, but the one of their rookie members in that, Owada-san, he's currently over here in the UK for his excursion, but I see Owada-san building a similar kind of character profile to Ishin because you have, like you say,
mm.
someone doing bits constantly, being disrespectful and over the top, but at the same time being very capable. Every heel team needs someone that's unafraid to do bits because you need stuff that other people can riff on. If you're just going to be like serious, hardcore killer team, then you're not interesting. You have no dynamics. You need dynamics.
And we saw a bit of that the last Buyuden Zero show
Mhm.
because they had Owara-san and
Exactly.
Daga were in there against Mochi and Tominaga-san.
Doing bits but like from different angles.
Yeah, I don't watch a whole lot of Noah either, but I watch a bit more than All Japan. It was also cool to see Daga back for the first time since RED, I believe.
Oh yeah. God.
Yeah, it was a short stint, but he was there for a bit.
Mm.
Tangents aside, I think there is definitely a through line with that character archetype, and I think Ishin just nails it. And leaning further into
Yeah.
it, there also have been a few interesting moments where he isn't necessarily acting heelish, like the whole thing about like begging Doi to be on his
Oh
show,
yeah.
and just humbling himself in front of
He's not
Paradox.
afraid to look the fool.
Yeah.
Like as a performer,
Hmm.
he's not afraid to look the fool, and that is so valuable, especially in something like wrestling where you it's so easy to come across personality types that just will not go there, that
Hmm.
just refuse to look in the least bit foolish. And it's like, look at yourself, look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't, why are you being so precious about it?
It's almost like there's a bit of trickery even in that, is because if you don't take him seriously, you underestimate him. And then
Mm-hmm.
there are characters like, say, I mean, I want to make the direct comparison to Punch Tominaga as a goofball who you'd be right not to take seriously, but even he will get one over on you every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Ishin is almost that like turned way up and
Mm.
in both like talent and buffoonery. I love Ishin's shenanigans, and
He's just a delight.
yeah, I love the fact that all of his renders in matches have been either turned into that thing where he sticks his finger in his nose and sticks his tongue out, or he does the thing where he puts his thumbs in both his nostrils and fans his fingers out, and
Just a chaos
he's
being.
so unserious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I'd put him with in the current lineup, but I think he'll make it work for him if and when it does happen.
Yeah, now that he's found that sort of unshakable confidence as a performer, because it is so wild to look back at who Ishin started as, like who the character of Ishin started as.
Oh god, it's I swear it's not even the same person.
Legit, I know I've mentioned this before, but there was an ungodly period of time where I was like, no, it's not the same person.
Yeah,
I don't think I did not make the connection fully because we were watching older Dragon Gate at the same time as we were watching concurrently with new stuff. It took me a long second to connect that this is the same Yushin.
he had the pink feathers and he had
Yeah. I
abs
mean, bring
and
that back, I say.
oh, I think he could do that at any time. But
Bring back the feather boa. Do it for me.
and I guess Riki Ihashi is now he's bodybuilding with their dad now. So
Bodybuilding with your dad. There's a sentence.
so that's yeah, so that's his whole thing now. But would be cool to see him back if he ever developed a taste for it again. But
Mm.
I can't imagine what kind of dynamic he would have with Ishin now, given Ishin's
Wild.
current character. I love that for Ishin that he's been able to branch out on his own and become his own entity and a very unique one in the
Mm.
scope of Dragon Gate characters too. And yeah, now multi-time champion, which is impressive for a guy who, in the grand scheme, he's only been wrestling for a few years now.
It's so wild how, like, recently a lot of these people that I'm so used to have actually like debuted. It's blows my mind every so often.
On that note, we can move ahead to Yoshiki Kato. Also, not been around for very long,
No.
and it seems like he's been around forever. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if we actually discussed it on the first round of these, but he did have a bit of a plot line earlier in the year when
Mm.
the whole Young Dragon Cup thing was going on.
Yes.
They haven't really touched upon this that much, except for, I think, Prime Zone. They called it Ishin's Dungeon,
Yes, where
where
he
he was in control.
super dungeon.
Yeah, the Super Dungeon. They have kind of this generational rivalry thing between Yoshiki Kato and Daiki and Nagiuchi.
Yeah.
Maybe once Daiki gets more into a proper unit that's not a dojo,
Yeah.
then they may revisit that.
They've not run in the same circles particularly. They've not had a reason to intersect in the way that
hmm
like Ishin and Junior have, for example.
He's another guy who I'd like to see them give a bit more to. I think he's about due for it because he spent his first little while where he was defeating guys that were not necessarily above his station, but just more established than he
Yeah.
was. Then he had a couple of injuries and he was out for a bit and came back very strongly into Zebrats. Yeah, other than feuding with a couple of the other rookies, he hasn't done a whole lot character wise. He's leaned into the cop thing a bit more, but
Mm.
otherwise, yeah, I would like to see more from him, and he's ripe for it.
Yeah, I think with Yoshiki is that when he came back as well for most recently, there was just something that I felt like slotted back into place almost immediately in terms of
hmm
his character, who he was sort of confidence wise, and also his dynamic with Ishin. It's been a while since I've said this. I feel like I'm in my Kato Yoshiki era. There's just something about
mm
him that's resonating with me, and hopefully there's a capitalizing on that because Ishin and Yoshiki are like quite popular as well. You can tell that they have their like subset of fans.
Yeah.
Why not just go for it? Especially if we're reestablishing like what everyone's dynamic is and what their goals are under Gajadokuro. I don't see why this wouldn't be a good point to put them. Obviously, now that you've got him, Ishin, and Kai as Triangle Gate champions as well, like there's
Right.
a lot of space where they could do stuff with that.
Also, not for nothing, there's plenty of segments, like backstage segments, that they film with these guys talking that we're not always privy to. So he does have quite a bit more material out there in Japan. We either don't have access to or would take a lot of extra steps for, Western fans to access. Yeah, I've always been really high on him. There's this kind of running joke in one of the Discords I'm on where when he was first called Bad Cop, before he changed to Mad Cop, he had Bad Cop written all over his tights in a font that made it look like Beef Cop. We still call him Beef Cop to this day.
If the shoe fits. He's even beefier cop now.
I mean, yeah, even more so now. Gajadokuro, it's being kind of the beefy unit. He's a bit more Beef Cop.
What a sentence.
We come up with all kinds of sentences here on Normal Best.
And that's a promise.
You can always count on that. It's like that subreddit brand new sentence.
Yeah. ACAB, all cops are beef. There you go.
So, yeah, the big question mark now with Yanni Valletta is they have him in the Gajadokuro tier of the roster website, but he left Zebrats to go back to Malta. He's been wrestling in Europe. He has, I believe at the end of this month, he has a title shot in a promotion in Bulgaria that he's been promoting.
Side questing.
Yeah. So, yeah, big question as to whether he's there or not, because they did have a segment before the rebranding where Ikeda said that the 6 men in the ring are the only members of Zebrats.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that maybe whoever maintains the website just kind of threw him there because they weren't told to move him out of it.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe if he's planned to come back wrangled by Kai again, I don't know if he has another stint coming up. I mean, he's active on social media. I could probably reach out and ask him. He is fluent in English. Yeah, and if you've ever actually seen him talk out of character, it is wild. It is such a tonal contrast. He's very well spoken. He's very articulate. Seems very personable.
That seems correct.
I don't know. I think his first couple dates were back in his own promotion in Malta. And then he was wrestling in, I believe, Austria for a while.
Yeah.
So who knows if he's got another run coming back, but it will be interesting to see if he is part of Gajadokuro or if he teams with somebody else.
Yeah, because he personifies a kind of chaos that made more sense for a Zebrats than it does under sort of Kikuta's rule.
I can see him slotting in just fine, but yeah, I do think he has a different kind of ethos about him.
See if the siren hits again.
Oh, I will pop so hard if it does. But his old theme was the siren over the Zebrats.
It was.
Theme. So what happens now?
Exactly.
I think it's just any siren we hear will signify that the wild man is back. And so are the chains.
Oh god, ominous.
Thanks again for joining us. We have already recorded the rest of the audio, and my mic issues will improve for the rest of it. Special thanks to all my channel members, that guy from AK, Rob DW, Dan Williams, Art, Lois, Adam Sanderson, One Funky Note, Lino Nwakucha, and for my Ko-fi donors, Jolly, Hoss Freeman, CSG370, Slurm316, Jason Ford, Evelyn Gallery, and an anonymous donor. Who are you? Maybe we can come up with a fun little nickname for donors at some point. I'm open to suggestions. If you donated and I did not mention you, it's because I recorded this before you became a member, and I'll get you next time. I appreciate all who have contributed, and I'm still working out the logistics of what other exclusive content I can provide. I'm editing these as I go, so I don't know the exact date for the rest, but I'm aiming to complete them all before the end of the month because I will be away in October, but you'll still be getting weekly short content while I'm away. More coming soon.